Okay, Roderic, early last week, Fingal County Council held an information evening in Blanchardstown Library about the draft Urban Dunsink plan. This is probably a big question, but can you tell me, Roderick, what you think about the development of Dunsink?
Well, it's a really significant proposal from Fingal County Council, and the reason there was an information night on was Fingal are looking for the public to give their views on it at the moment. So the public can make a submission until the 31st of this month, until the end of July. And I think it's worth people in Fingal, in Dublin 15, in Castleknock, in Ashtown, and Finglas as well, looking at this plan and giving their views. It's pretty significant. They're talking about maybe up to 18,500 new homes being built around the Dunsink area. Most people might remember Dunsink as the landfill, the tip head, the old dump for Dublin, and people will know that big mound that's covered over beside the M50. The houses won't be on that, but they'll be on what's currently the Elm Green golf course, and they'll be on some of the Chagas farming lands and other farming lands in and around Dunsink Observatory. So it's a big change. It's a lot of homes, and we know we're in a housing crisis, so we need homes. But it's really important that the right infrastructure is put in place, both for the people who live there, but also for the people who live in surrounding communities like Fingal, Finglas, like Ashtown, and like Castleknock and Blanchardstown. So I'll be putting in a detailed submission, and I have some worries about some parts of the plan. I have worries about the public transport and when it will be delivered. I have some worries about there's traveller accommodation in that area at the moment. I want to make sure that the traveller families are going to be properly looked after in this development. And it's a very green area at the moment. And obviously, if you're going to be building lots of houses, that's going to change. But I want guarantees that certain elements of the nature that's there at the moment will be properly protected and properly incorporated into the new developments. So those are a couple of the issues that I'll be highlighting in the submission I'm going to put in.
Yeah, I read an article on the Northside People a couple of weeks ago. Paul McAuliffe, the Fianna Fáil TD, was saying that he believes that politicians in Dublin North West and Dublin City Council in general should work with politicians in Dublin West, the Dublin 15 politicians, because Dunsink will, if it's developed, will have a huge impact on Finglas as well as Dublin, even maybe more so than Dublin 15. Would you agree with him on that?
Yeah, I think politicians across the two Dáil constituencies and across the two local authority areas, Fingal and Dublin City Council, should work together. So, for example, Caroline Conroy is the Green Party representative for the Finglas Ballymun area. I was chatting to her last night about both of our submissions and what were the key things we were going to highlight. For me, I mentioned public transport earlier on, Darren, and one of the ideas is that this land should have a new Luas line going through it. And it would be a Luas line that would connect, it would be an extension from the Broombridge station, the green line, that would go through the Dunsink lands, and there'd be 3 stops there for the new homes. There'd be a bridge over the N50, and then it would go through the Sports Campus Ireland grounds and end up at Tyrrelstown, and Tyrrelstown would then be linked into the Luas network. Now, this is a great idea. It would be great for the new homes in Dunsink. It would also be great for everyone who's currently living in Tyrrelstown and Kilmartin Grove. As you know, Darren, as a Dublin 15 man originally, there's been a huge amount of new houses built there as well. But my one worry is, under the current Dublin transport plan, the Tyrrelstown Luas extension that would go through Dunsink, that's not due to happen till at least after 2042. So that's 16 years away at the moment, and they're hoping to build out Dunsink over the next 15 years. So if I don't see how this new development in Dunsink can work without the Luas being put in place as a central way of moving people in and out of the area. So even last week, I raised it in the Dáil with the Tánaiste Simon Harris. The Tyrrelstown to the Tyrrelstown Luas extension has to be brought forward by the government. They have to bring it forward in their capital development plan in order for the Dunsink housing to work, and that will be absolutely central of the submission I'll be putting in to Fingal County Council.
I know when Eamon Ryan was Minister for Transport, he's from your party as well. I know he's not in the Dáil now, but I know that he did great work on some of the rail network in Ireland. But I wasn't planning on asking this question, Roderic, but do you think that a lot of the transport in Ireland plans for the future, not just Tyrrelstown, but there's a range of proposals that it's a bit of a mess, really. Like, if you look at Donegal in the north of Ireland, they've no rail, and the only plan for currently is the 2050s. I think that, not just in some places in Dublin, but nationally, I think our energy or our transport plans are a bit of a mess. Do you?
Well, I use our bus and trains every day, and I suppose one thing that Eamon Ryan focused on was changing the train line that you and I would use. That's the commuter route to Maynooth. That's going to change to a dark line, which will mean it'll be quicker and more regular services, and work will start on that in 2028. So that's certainly something I'm really proud that Eamon spearheaded, and we'll see the benefit of that in the next 6 or 7 years. It's a big project. New rail lines are big pieces of work. But the only reason we're talking now about a possible rail link up to Donegal, which I think is that badly needed, is because the Green Party and Eamon Ryan proposed the All-Ireland Rail Review. That's the document which highlights that idea of a rail line to Donegal, and that will be through Northern Ireland and will need cross-border cooperation. So again, the whole reason we're planning now the potential of a rail link to Donegal is because stuff the Greens pushed through in government. The other issue is money, and big public transport like this costs money. I think it's a great investment, but there are other people who are saying we need more roads and bigger roads and wider roads, and that's an issue, I suppose. In the last government, when the Green Party was in, the commitment was you look at the public transport budget and you say 2/3 goes to bus and rail, and 1/3 goes to roads. Since the Greens have left government, they've scrapped that. There's a lot more going to the roads. And look, we need roads, absolutely, but I just think the majority of money should be going to public transport right now, because we're so far back in Ireland compared to other European countries.
Yeah, I won't keep it much longer, Roderic. I think personally, the only reason I can conceive of the government not announcing recently rail between Letterkenny and Derry City is that I think, as just such an observer, that it's possible that they haven't got the builders to actually deliver the project. That's the only reason I can see. And as well as Donegal, in Dublin, I interviewed one of your councillors, Conor, on the south side of Dublin. What's his name? Conor Reddy?
Dowling.
Conor Dowling, yeah. I interviewed him only a couple of months ago. He wants the Luas extended as well on the south side of Dublin. Now, I do agree with you as regards public transport. I think it is mostly the way to go, isn't it?
It is, and that's why you need that investment ring fenced. And one of the key things public transport can do is, we know we need new homes to deal with the housing crisis. You can make land available by putting public transport through it. But the really important thing is you have to build the public transport in and around the time you're building those new homes. And I think that's why a lot of people in those developments down in kind of West Dublin, Clonburris, Seven Mills, Adamstown, they're really frustrated now, because a lot of new homes have been built there in the last 7 years, but even in the last 2 years, and they were all told they were going to see the Dart Southwest, that's the commuter line that currently goes to Naas, to see that upgraded to a Dart, and now that's been pushed out till 2029 or 2030. So all these people bought homes thinking we're going to have really good public transport into the city centre, and it's not happening because the money isn't there for it right now. The government have allocated that money elsewhere, mainly to roads. So that's something I have a real concern about. We know we need new homes, but we need to give people easy ways to move around as well. And public transport is a big part of that, but some of those big public transport projects are delayed right now.
Yeah, and I saw the RT or Primetime report recently talking about in some of these areas where they haven't got the Luas or rail connections as planned, like there are less parking spaces in the apartment blocks, and you have
Yeah,
neighbours fighting one another.
yeah, yeah.
That sounds terrible to me, you know.
And you can absolutely understand how frustrated people are when they were promised an area with direct public transport links to the city centre, and that transport link isn't coming, and now they don't even have a spot to park their car. You can absolutely understand how frustrated people would be getting. That's great, Darren. Thanks very much. And just to say to people, if they get their submission in by the 31st of July, it's a really important project, and it's really important people's voices are heard about it.